Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the big show. My name is Jerk, and I am your host, and thank you for being here. We've got a very good show planned for you today. But first, the news. Well, we knew there were 2 new Bureau projects coming in the next update, and today it sure looks like one of them will be Des Moines. After Ouija posted a screenshot of what I guess some would call a skyline of downtown Des Moines. Take it easy, Iowans. I did my time in the fields just 35 miles southeast of said city, so I'm allowed to say that. What will the other one be? I don't know. Will there be another steel ship? I don't know. What will there be to keep our attention? Well, I don't know. But we will find out next week, of course. And in other news, it was confirmed that Fault Line was indeed removed from Tier 7 and up matches. Way to go, investigative team. I'm sure your Pulitzer Prize is in the mail. And speaking of prizes, let's get today's guest out here. Why, it is none other than the prize of the Pan-Asian Destroyer line. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the Tech Tree Tier 7 Pan-Asian Destroyer. Give it up for Shenyang. Apologies at the pronunciation. I'm close, but I know there is a lot of subtlety that I'm missing, but I do put the B in subtle. So yes, this boat, why has it taken so long to get them on the big show? Well, that would be because it's a bit of a turd. Okay, that is a bit harsh, but this whole line of ships was actually pretty interesting because they're just made up of ships from other nations. The first show being a Gnevny and the Gajimata being a Jervis. The Gajimata actually being a very strong ship at the tier. So getting the Shenyang, I'm not sure what I was expecting, but almost immediately upon getting it, I was like, nope, not gonna play. Because what is it good for? Well, to answer that question, we're going to need a commander and modules, so let's put them up on the big screen. It's Dang with Old Bay Seasoning and Azure Lena Tago. Azure Lena Tago, whose inspiration reduces the detection range of Torbs. And I'm guessing some of you are going to see where I'm going with this. Now, I said in the thumbnail that playing this battle boat is a bit like playing 3D chess, and as such, I've actually got back-to-back videos for you all today. So what makes this ship struggle so mightily? Well, it doesn't really excel at anything in particular. Its health pool is very middle of the road. Its guns are pretty middle of the road, and its torps, well, they do decent damage. In fact, I think they were recently buffed. And they have low detection times, but being deep water, they don't work on destroyers, so in this case, I can't use them to flush that Fletcher out so my support can shoot at them. And with them being relatively slow at 64 knots with my build and having about a minute and a half to reload, you have got to make them count, and what I think you're going to see in this video and the next, should you stick around, is really putting down predictive torps rather than always going by the indicator. And the key to getting predictive torps is knowing where people are likely to go. And so that is why I have Azure Lena Tago on here. I have her ranked at 14 Legendary 2, and with that, the reaction time people have to these torpedoes is just 3 seconds. So if I were to max her out, I'd get that down to 2.5, maybe 2 3/4 seconds. Additionally, Ding has a skill where I could reduce it even lower, but at the price of a 10% reduction in torpedo damage, which isn't really worth it in my opinion. Originally, we saw the Atlanta, and having played the Atlanta plenty, I guessed that they would be heading for this island that I'm strapped to right now. So I sent torps there and stayed out of their radar range, and we got to boop them. Similarly, with this Scharnhorst, I resisted the urge to send torps at them while they were running parallel to me, instead waiting for the inevitable turn that they would do to go after our cruisers. My position here also has the benefit of blocking any support fire the Fletcher might receive from the battleships behind them, and it gives me an out to be able to turn away should I need to escape this Fletcher, because the Fletcher, it is a gunboat, and there is no reason that I should be able to beat that ship in a fair gunfight. unless they were to try and torp me instead of shooting their guns. But there's my support fire behind me, and this is why you always want to have some support. And in fact, the Fletcher does try to torp me for whatever reason, and I'm not even aiming down the sights there. You can see I'm just going ahead and pull the trigger, because you don't have to go to binocular view to actually shoot your guns. You can just predictively do it. So real quick, hey, look at this. We're at 3 ships sunk, and we're finally going to get this cap. There is no time to relax, as I need to get eyes on these 2 remaining battleships who are in a division. Since I was last spotted at this island, I need to scurry away to a completely different spot. I don't want these ships to have any idea of where I am, really, and my intention here is to actually make them think that I'm going after the Odin. Now, hindsight being 2020, these 2 ships should have pushed in together. They are, after all, 2 Tier 7 battleships going up against 2 cruisers, a Kutuzov and a Charles Jr. Hey, you don't see those too often, and myself. So an Odin and a Lenin should have no issues, especially considering that an Odin has sonar, but, and that's a big but, they don't. And that's going to allow me to scurry over to this corner and just wait and wait and wait until the Lenin does what I am expecting them to do. Now, first thing I was thinking here was, okay, well, this Lenin can actually go broadside because they don't really have to be too concerned about AP from those cruisers. So that's why I put that first set out. I was like, they're probably going to just go broadside through there, but they don't, to their credit, but they are pushing the cap now. And so I'm repositioned myself to wait for the grand push from the Lenin. Because at some point they're just going to be sick of being HE spammed, and they will just go straight after our cruisers. And that is the moment that I'm waiting for. But to this Lenin player's credit, they are adjusting their speed. We can see on the indicator here, it is slowing down, it is speeding up. And so I am just waiting for these to reload, and I'm just going to sit here a minute while they do their final move. You can see they're running parallel right now, so if I were to drop the torps right here, they would actually miss. But I'm just sitting here thinking, when are they going to turn in? And it looks like they're doing that now, so I'm going to do this as a wall of skill and reposition again. Frankly, the way that this Lenin player has been moving, I wasn't that confident that these were actually going to connect, and so that's why I'm repositioning after every torp strike, because I don't want them to really have a strong idea of where I am. But it's looking at this point that these are in fact going to connect for what will be a very devastating strike right there. And at this point I was like, okay, Kraken hunt time. I gotta go get this Odin so I can play pretty aggressively here, because we don't have that much time left. We've got 3 caps, we've got almost 900 points, so I know I need to go very, very aggressively at this Odin player. And it's kind of a bad for me to say, but I was telling my div mate, I was like, what wouldn't be bad here is if maybe a couple of our teammates could be sunk, because that would reduce the number of points we have and give me a little bit more time to actually secure this Kraken, and pretty soon we are going to see my division mate get sunk. But hey, at least it wasn't first thing this match, right? So there he goes, actually gives us a little bit more time. And I'm assuming here, again, that this Odin is going to just go straight for the Charlemagne. So I'm actually pretty much on the torp predictor right there. But what I'm going to do here, too, because I know that the Charlemagne has torpedoes in the water, is I'm going to smoke up and start firing my guns, because I want the Odin to kind of like slow down and rethink what they're doing. And if they do anything, including turn towards me, well, that's going to give me a better chance of actually getting a torp to connect. And at this point, I think they're going to take one of the Charlemagne's torps right there, right? And it looks like they're flooding, so I really need them to just turn in here. But at this point, you're going to see that I know I've got it. There we go. That's how it's done. And we're going to pick up Kraken 379 in the Shenyang. Now we can just get out of this smoke and try and go get the 6-pack, but I have no idea where this destroyer is, and the match is over anyway. So, let's see this scoreboard. 2,913 XP for just shy. No, you know what? We will just call this a very good game. Well, every dog has its day, jerk, right? But this isn't entirely a fluke, and that's why we will jump into the match that I had immediately prior to this. Same boat, same commander, same kind of approach. Okay, well, we looked at the screen there, and this looks to be a mostly tier 7 match, and the first thing I'm going to do is go out to this side here and try and get some eyes on what we're dealing with. You know, is the radar over here or is it not? That's the first thing that I need to know. And usually, you know, what I like to try and keep an eye out for is a ship that's in a division, because then you can infer all sorts of things about the game at that point. So once we get around this corner, we are actually going to spot one of those Brandenburgs, and that's going to tell me that there are 2 Brandenburgs here and almost certainly a random destroyer. So we're going to keep going into this way, and then I'm going to make a rather aggressive move. And that is going to be to push straight through here and take the immediate right. That runs a high risk of being detected, but I know if I can get around this island, there's no sonar that I have to worry about with these Brandenburgs, so I should be able to be relatively safe, and I always have smoke to disengage if I need to. I also know that whatever destroyer is over here does not have twist and track on, so they probably have not pre-torped this area, because this is a very unlikely spot for a destroyer to try and go this early in the game. Looks like I may have to eat my words there, but alright. Okay, what ship do we have over here? It's an Akatsuki, so I'm not particularly too threatened by it, but I am going to go ahead and smoke up once they start shooting at me, because I do want to drop spot, and we're going to see that. I'm just going to drop those torps there. A lot of times, people would have dropped those torps immediately, but holding as long as I can almost guarantee that one of those Brandenburgs is going to run into it. Their best bet would be to slow down and reverse, but I think they're going to try and get a turn in. And look, this Akatsuki, they are definitely trying to send torps into this smoke, and we're going to connect on that Brandenburg with, oh my gosh, we don't sink him. Oh, and now he's dropped spot. So I'm actually just shooting my gun. Oh, he's right there. Do they have will to rebuild on? That's not something I want to risk. I'm switching over to AP here, and we will blind fire. And there we go. There's our first ship sunk. And if you look at that, we actually had pretty decent pin on this AP, which it might be something that I need to rethink about. So getting into this position now, I have a crossfire onto the Somers, and I need to take advantage of that, but not get torped. So I'm shooting my guns here while they are spotted as long as I can. And I know that there is that other Brandenburg behind me, so I've just backed a little bit back into my smoke. These Somers there, they did kill one of our destroyers or something. They're about to, so I decided I should just come out of here and try and spot them again. It's just worth it to try and get rid of another destroyer. So though I am spotted and I am being shot at by another destroyer, which I believe is actually a Kiev, that's all right. It's worth it. And I've got all my stuff knocked here, but we'll just back up and go work that island we still had originally. But getting rid of a destroyer this early, this has really kind of opened things up, because we know the Akatsuki's out over here. We know there's a Kiev back there in smoke. A Kiev is not going to have better detection than me, so knowing that, I can kind of play with, you know, some confidence in that that's not going to happen. Again, knowing what players are going to do with this ship, or having a safe assumption of what players are going to do in this ship, you know, makes it more easy to have success. I guess you could say that with any ship, really, but this one really needs it. So I go ahead and back up there. I'm assuming that Brandenburg, because their division mate is already sunk, is going to play a bit more aggressively than they should, and as such, they will probably just coast right through there. And once again, I get detected by them, but my torps are off in the water, and that's actually going to end up sinking that Brandenburg as well. I don't remember if no, it's not a death strike. So now I can play this cap. We still know that the Kiev is in their smoke because the cap is contested. There they are. We can see what their detection range is, which is pretty not good. But I'm going to go ahead and push into the center of the map and try and do some work here as well. So obviously every destroyer's job, well, pretty much every destroyer, there is always the exception to the rule, is to spot and cap, right? So I'm getting into this cap. Now, I did take my sweet time in getting here and kind of came in from a different angle. But part of capping is knowing how fast it happens. There's the key. We can open up our guns. And I'm going to go ahead and put smoke down here too, because there are a lot of ships over on the west side that could potentially shoot at me. So I want to drop spot. And I'm hoping that this Kiev is going to stay spotted for a while because they are open water gunboating. And they've got a big detection range, and hopefully we can just sink them right here. But I believe they're actually going to end up dropping spot because these guns, they just aren't that reliable, and there's just not that high of a rate of fire. Granted, I could spec more into them, and they would shoot 10% faster, I think it is, but you know, it's one of those things where I feel like in this particular ship, I want to emphasize the torpedoes. So that's what I did with my build. But I think you could probably work it with guns too, and that might be interesting in a division or in ranked or something, because then you could put on radar. I would probably put Sims on instead to give me more health and go for a tanky build. But as it is, for standard battles and for regular play, I think I'm going to keep this pretty much a torpedo boat. So, centrally located, 3 ships left. I was feeling pretty good that this was going to be a Kraken game if I could sink that Alabama, and I'm waiting to see what that Alabama is going to do. This Georgia player is playing very conservatively. When your team is down this much and you have full health, it's time to spend a little bit of that HP and try and make something happen, but they aren't going to do that. So I am actually reversing in this way to make myself skinny to any Kiev torps that might come through there too. And I'm going to go ahead and put those torps down for the Alabama. I know it looks like it's on the indicator, and it is, technically speaking, but that Alabama could also actually speed up, and they would outrun those torps. So the actual place that I put them was for them to turn into that island and try and go through. And that's kind of me assuming that's what the Alabama player is going to try and do, is go weave through that island to, you know, maintain their bow angle towards those battleships. And at this point, I'm like, oh, we might be able to get a double strike here if those actually connect. They do. So let's turn our guns over to the Kiev and let's gun this down for our 4th ship sunk. And we are very, very close. The shells are in the air, and no. The Benson gets them, and I was like, ah, rats. This was going to be a Kraken game. I will finally have a Kraken in this to show everybody. Because I know I'm going to get this Georgia, right? This is a YOLO torp run just waiting to happen, unless the Georgia reverses to the moon, which, I mean, they might, but they're not going to. So we're just making a beeline straight for it right now. I'm actually dropping smoke for my division mate in a battleship, just so they can have it, and I don't know, they might be able to shoot it and not be spotted. I don't need the smoke. Use it or lose it, right? Alright, so we got that down. Let's just go ahead, and I think we're going to activate the speed boost to get over there as fast as possible. Yes, we do. I'm going to use this island, the little island that I'm pointed directly at right now, to be able to close the distance and get well within my detection range, because, you know, this is just a YOLO torp run. And while we do this, I think we're actually going to get a cap in here, which is going to help contribute to the XP at the end, which is also going to be a very good game. Not a base XP record. I actually went and looked up what that was, and it's like 4,000 something, and I think the damage record was like 220,000, which I think that one could still be broken. But anyway, George is coming in here. Gonna hold these a little bit just in case they, you know, come in, and we'll just put one set down here. And right now, I'm so close to this Georgia that as soon as they're spotted, they won't be able to dodge any torps. So getting as close as possible, right? They could run aground, I guess, but they're not going to. So there goes a big shot from my division mate, and these torps aren't gonna miss. So there you go. Alrighty, let us see this scoreboard. 3,230 base XP for a very good game, and a GG to everyone in all of these matches, and that will wrap it up for this one. If you like your torp shallow, then give this video a like. If you like your torp so deep it puts the butt to sleep, give it a dislike. Questions, comments, leave them down below, and if you want to be sure and see what other ship we can find a way to work with, think about hitting subscribe. Thanks for watching, folks. I will get back out there for another one, and we will talk